Feel free to return to our channel at any time. As he breaks his silence after years of silence. Don Felder, a crucial member of the Eagles, sits quietly reflecting on the inner struggle that shaped one of the most legendary bands in rock history. Glenn Frey, the Eagles' mainstay and, according to Felder, the cause of all the constant strife, is at the epicenter of it all. Felder sheds new light on Frey, revealing their tumultuous history of onstage feuds and power struggles that ultimately doomed the band. Not only was Frey challenging, but he was aggressive and domineering, and quite dishonest in his interactions with his bandmates, according to Felder. Felder is finally coming clean about the tense and treacherous partnership he had with Frey. Even though he contributed his unique style and ideas to the Eagles, talented guitarist Don Felder was continually overshadowed by Glenn Frey. Felder remembers how Frey and Don Henley toiled away at consolidating power within the band. Because of these two coordinated decisions, Felder no longer felt like he belonged to the organization he had helped form. There were several instances where Felder's creative autonomy and Frey's authoritarian personality collided. Despite Felder's substantial contributions to the band's distinctive sound, including the infamous co-writing of Hotel California, he thought that Frey disregarded or ignored his ideas. The statements made by Felder demonstrated that the vision of only he and Henley was significant. Frey scolded Felder for insignificant differences, leading to tense recording sessions. In the guitarist's memory, those times were stifling, serving as a constant reminder that his contributions would never be heard over Frey's omnipresent presence. Felder argues that the connection between Frey and Henley, who were widely perceived as the Eagles' close-knit leaders, was actually far more transactional than it seemed. He says that Frey was good at forming alliances that benefited him, but he was emotionally distant. The same held true for Henley. Felder claims that rival ambitions rather than genuine friendship were the driving forces behind Frey and Henley's partnership. Frey frequently put himself in Henley's position during disagreements, creating a united front that put Felder and others in their place. But there were other problems in Frey and Henley's cooperation that existed behind closed doors. Felder recollects instances where Frey's charisma subsided, exposing his cold, manipulating nature. He says Frey could be kind and approachable one minute and icy and distant the next, all in response to his own needs. Felder wasn't the only one with whom Glenn Frey's challenging demeanor caused problems. The rest of the band felt the same way. The founding guitarist for the Eagles, Bernie Leadon, infamously quit the group in 1975 following a violent confrontation with lead singer Glenn Frey. Leadon walked away after pouring a beer over Frey's head, expressing his frustration with the band's increasing emphasis on commercial success. How did Frey feel? Callous and unrepentant, solidifying his image as an adamantly uncompromising individual. Frey was so demanding that even the band's bassist, Randy Meisner, had to deal with him. An emotionally and physically demanding high note was required of Meisner during Frey's 1977 tour performance of Take It to the Limit. Frey lost it and accused Meisner of betraying the band when he declined, claiming fatigue. As a result of the experience, Meisner felt ashamed and alone. Even after Frey left the band, his image as a tough collaborator remained. This contributed to his eventual exit from the group. Insiders in the industry said he was charismatic in front of the camera, but merciless when it came to making decisions. His stubbornness in wanting to have the last say frequently caused unneeded friction and alienated his collaborators. The Hell Freezes Over reunion tour of the 90s was supposed to represent a new beginning for Don Felder, a second opportunity for the Eagles to manifest their former glory. However, the reunion did the opposite of what was intended. It exacerbated the existing wounds. The dormant animosities between Felder and Glenn Frey reemerged almost immediately, just as savage and unresolved as before. Rather than culminating in a victorious comeback, Frey's authoritative behavior weakened and disrespected Felder, turning the situation into a power struggle. Felder remembers that Frey continued to treat him as a subordinate rather than an equal collaborator, even though a lot of time had elapsed since the band's first separation. Frey's contemptuous demeanor was overt and unfiltered. Felder often had his suggestions disregarded and his impact diminished. Although Felder had a significant role in creating the Eagles' signature sound, Frey was determined to make him feel like a cog in the wheel that he and Don Henley ran. Such a dynamic was not novel. However, it was increasingly obvious while on the reunion tour. Felder was especially irritated by Frey and Henley's desire for a bigger cut of the earnings. He took it as a personal attack, a cruel reminder that they saw him as nothing more than a means to an end. Felder was fighting an invisible system that was meant to keep him in the background, even while the band's public persona was that of harmony and unity. A meeting was the final straw that caused Frey's rage to explode. His remarks were scathing and degrading, and the expression angry was volcanic, as Felder put it. Felder claims that at that same time, he felt more like an outsider, someone whose existence was at most tolerated, than like a founding member of a legendary rock band. Felder was devastated by the experience. The man who had once collaborated with him on some of the most iconic songs of all time had chipped away at his self-assurance. The yelling match marked a turning moment, more than just a disagreement. Felder and Frey's strained relationship became crystal evident. It was the last straw for Felder, the moment that solidified the poisonous dynamic that had characterized their relationship for years. Frey probably meant to show Felder who was boss by making a planned move to assert his power. The decision has already been decided. Don Felder was fired by 2001. The official story made it seem like his exit was essential to the band's future, but in reality, it was far more personal. As a result of their joint decision, Frey and Henley were able to oust a man who had played a key role in their meteoric climb to stardom. The firing was a profoundly personal act of betrayal for Felder, going beyond a mere professional setback. After giving his all to the Eagles, he was let go after he was no longer considered useful. Permanent wounds were inflicted by the gunshots. Felder's impact on the Eagles' sound, guitar prowess, and songwriting was indisputable, yet he was let go in a manner that seemed heartless and inconsiderate. The collaboration had brought both extraordinary creative accomplishment and deep personal anguish, and its breakup was bittersweet. Originally planned as a joyous occasion, the Hell Freezes Over tour served as a poignant reminder of the band's first rise to legendary status. On the contrary, it came to represent all that had gone wrong in Don Felder's eyes. He found himself cut off from a band he had a hand in defining after decades of simmering tensions finally burst. Even in the rock and roll industry, success frequently comes at a high personal cost. The anguish of that parting remained long after the last note had been played. Throughout rock history, Glenn Frey's musical legacy stands tall. Songs like Hotel California and Take It Easy capture the band's signature sound, which he helped develop with his innovative ideas and magnetic stage presence. His accomplishments have shone brightly, but they have also cast their shadows. His legacy is complex, characterized by brilliance and strife, according to Don Felder and others who worked with Frey on stage and in the studio. His ambition and humanity frequently clashed, causing people around him to grapple with the cost of his success beneath the surface of a rock icon. The opportunity and challenge of working with Frey were mutually reinforcing. The Eagles reached heights that few bands could even begin to imagine thanks to his inspiration, on the one hand. On the flip side, his unwavering determination made him a dominant figure in the group. Balancing creative collaboration with personal strain was like walking a tightrope for Felder when he collaborated with Frey. It was as constraining as it was constructive since Frey required excellence, while leaving little space for disagreement. According to Felder, Frey's intense approach to every part of the band was the main reason his personality was so challenging. For Frey, the Eagles were more than just a band. They were a brand that needed to be managed and honed to perfection. Because of his compulsive need to be in charge, he frequently had arguments with his bandmates, who thought they were being ignored. Despite the Eagles' incredible success, relationships that may have flourished with a more inclusive leader were sacrificed. Although Frey possessed indisputable brilliance, his ambition, which was not necessarily a positive trait, had the most profound impact on individuals who were intimately associated with him. His doggedness was crucial to the Eagles' success, but it occasionally got in the way of his colleagues' inventiveness. Felder reflects on how collaborative efforts took on an adversarial tone due to Frey's determination to retain ultimate control over both artistic and business matters. Attaining and sustaining success was Frey's only concern. This dogged quest for excellence had many advantages. A tribute to Frey's vision, the band has achieved unequaled success with its refined sound. There was a cost, though, for Felder and thousands like him. A connection in the workplace characterized more by animosity than friendship. What should have been a collaborative adventure became a turf war because to Frey's inflexible ambition. The path of shattered relationships that followed Frey is perhaps the lasting impression of his leadership. After Bernie Ledden and Randy Meisner's shocking departures and Don Felder's ultimate breakup, Frey's dogged determination frequently caused his bandmates to feel marginalized or even alienated. Working with such a challenging individual was a continual source of stress for Felder, who felt a mix of emotions throughout the experience. On one hand, he had the chance to be a part of something truly remarkable. Although Frey's command and control style of leadership propelled the band to unprecedented heights of fame, it also left an indelible mark of lingering tensions. Tragically, Frey's unrelenting nature claimed the lives of band members who could have stayed lifelong colleagues. His leadership qualities, his concentration, intensity, and drive, were also the source of the rifts that eventually became entrenched in the group. Many laud the Eagles for their classic songs and faultless harmony, but Felder and others show that the harmony was rarely real offstage. Both Frey's impact on the band's sound and success, and the shade he cast over its history are incalculable. Those who were close to Frey say that the disputes he encouraged are just as important to his legacy as the music he made. Complexity is added to the Eagles' plot by the friction between Frey's harsh personality and his genius. It serves as a gentle reminder that even the most accomplished people have imperfections, and that striving for perfection can result in unintended consequences beyond mere hit songs. Relationships and unsolved issues may be left in its aftermath. The Eagles reached unprecedented heights thanks to Frey's ambition, but the legacy he left behind would be marred by drama and strife for all time.